Welcome! We have this great Axopar 29 XC cross cabin, which today we brought to the Kolderspoeltje, a great place here in Aalsmeer. I'm really fortunate to be able to take this boat out in these conditions. Some of you may know that I've been testing it last November 2023, where we tested a prototype in Finland at -8 special conditions, and now today we'll have a day with close to 30 degrees, so beautiful weather, and I think it's great to be able to take a boat out in these two quite extreme conditions. This is for us a very first boat. We weren't able to specify exactly how we wanted it because this is the very first series, and as you may notice, we'll be using this one for the Axopar Agape Boat Club, a really interesting club where we set up an Amsterdam Axopar Agape Boat Club. So we will be having the 22, the 25 and the 29 available in the club. But today we have this 29 and I'd like to go through it the way we usually do this, by starting off at the bow. And actually the bow is something that Axopar has been working on extensively to create more room and also give the boat better seagoing characteristics by basically simply adding more volume. Again, two purposes for doing that: getting better sea characteristics and adding more volume. And to start with the latter, what they basically did is more or less try to use the setup of the aft cockpit of the Axopar 22, which has a great U sofa, and trying to more or less put a layer of that on the previous 28 in order to see whether it was possible to have a similar setup in the bow area of the 29, which they managed to do. So it's got a bigger beam carried more forward to the bow, which created more volume. They also made the freeboard higher, and there's a different bow style with slightly more flare, which deflects the waves also. And having been using this boat for a couple of times here, only at the lake, but also with quite serious weather with stronger winds, I really noticed the difference with the previous 28. And I'm not looking at this boat as a regular sales guy, because I've been the owner of two 28s, so I have quite some experience driving 28s myself, and I do think that the 29 is, well, a huge improvement, even though the 28 still is a fantastic boat. But again, we're here in the bow, and already here immediately at the furthest part of the bow area, you see that there's more room, more space. There's more non-skid to step on and off the boat. It's just a bigger area. This cushion, I think a lot of people will appreciate. It will be used primarily, I think, when you're lying down here, because you can lower actually this table and put a filler piece in so that you have a really nice sunbed here. And you can use this, I'll show you just briefly, me being the 1.92 m guy, you can use this to put your head on and enjoy the sunshine from here, especially when you use, again, the filler piece from here. And below here, I like this nice detail where they more or less use the cup holder also to be able to open up this hatch, the anchor hatch. And you may notice also, comparing the 28 with the 29, that this is more roomy. In the Netherlands we have depths of maybe on average 5 meters, so we had a lot of customers not ordering the anchor winch, also because you were more or less giving away the room, which is also useful for other purposes, in the bow area. And what Axopar has done now, you do see that this does not have the anchor winch yet, but when you do decide to have the anchor winch, it is installed here, which means that you still have space available here for fenders, mooring lines, and maybe some other stuff. What I also like is that Axopar uses lines such as these or clips to store your mooring lines, which is just a nice feature and keeps things tidy and practical and easily accessible when you're mooring. And of course, the attention to detail also is applied in this Axopar 29. A stainless steel gas strut right here, and you see this elevated area so that the water doesn't drain in. A small opening here for a line, as you can see, or for maybe the shore power if you choose a different connection. But again, attention to detail. Now, of course, they use really good materials like the stainless steel of the 316 quality for the railings and also the cleats and the hinges, done in a nice way. So again, a really roomy area. What I also do like, I'm not sure whether the cameraman is able to show that to you, but there is, the floor piece here is also made of gel-coated fiberglass, which means that it doesn't get dirty, and if it does, it's easy to clean. Also, again, a nice practical, but really good detail. Let me close it up like this. And here, of course, there's more room. And you see the shore power cable here. It's connected right here. And I think this is a necessity by law for CE, but there's a manual bilge water pump right there. And you see these fuses also for the shore power, so easily accessible. And what I really do appreciate that Axopar has changed from the previous way of opening up hatches such as this, with this simple latch here, and you just open like this. Really easy. And also again here, there's gunnels to drain the water so the water doesn't go in. I like the upholstery. I think this is the sphere color. You have a similar one with this same pattern in a glacier, is the name, in a gray color, also really nice. And of course there's room underneath here. This is a closed one where you can also store lots of things. It's actually quite deep. I'm not sure if you can see my hand, but I'm touching the bottom now. It's about this deep, so really deep. So plenty of storage here. And you can actually, in the meantime, my mic is coming loose. Just 1 second. You can actually store the supports of the table right here on this side, and there's, as you can see, there's small ones also. So again, you can lower this table by using these. Let me put this back just 1 second. So you can lower this, use the filler piece, but use the filler piece. But not only that, you may notice this one. You can use the table either in this position, in the high position or the low position, but you can also take it one step back and have it right here, so that you have a nice sun lounge when you use it in the low position, and when you would be having some sort of a dinner or play a game of cards or whatever, you could sit here with the group, and it may be more practical moving this back in the high position. So there's different setups, which I think Axopar has done a great job in setting this up. Cup holders, 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side, and again 2 in the bow area. And the storage area on the starboard side actually is an option. And it's open. Axopar left it open on this side, which I think is really practical, because if you want to quickly have access to fenders or mooring lines or whatever, this is the way to go. So I do think it's a really nice solution having both alternatives, closed or more or less open. Non-skid again here. I haven't heard that Axopar will have the option to have a different material on the deck, soft deck I think they call it. I'm sure they're working on it. It's not available yet. We're now August 2024, but I have no doubt that Axopar is working on this and having a similar solution as it is already available on the Axopar 37. Nice railings, a really good diameter. These backrests, to be honest, I hope Axopar is looking at this because I like them. I like the style with these corners, but having used them, to be honest, I find that they sometimes do this slightly and you lean against this, which is not always very nice. It's a small detail, but maybe Axopar can work on it. And another thing I think could for some people be improved, which I certainly would do, is that there's covers, which is good for all these cushions. But if you put them on, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cushions. And I mean, it takes a couple of minutes, so I really am a bit of complaining. But I do think that could be easier by using just one cover for the bow area. But I tend to use my boat quite often, and I like to drive with all the cushions out in the open and with the covers off. So I want to have it as simple as possible, and I think for me personally, again, I would change it. But I'm being very critical at the moment. And another thing, a boat is always a compromise. Some people find this backrest a bit low, and I do agree there. But the thing is that if you increase the backrest here, people inside, especially the skipper, will have this backrest in their view. So I don't think there's a good solution to it. And again, every boat's a compromise somewhere. And I do think this is used often for lounging, and you would even, when the table would be here in the low position, you would just lie it like this, and you don't need that high backrest. And we as a dealer, if this would be something that would be important to anyone, I think we could also find a solution to change something here. This adds to the daylight in the new multi-cabin, which I will of course be showing you in a moment. I think this is also really good because some people might think that it is kind of claustrophobic in this multi-cabin. It actually isn't. And not only for that reason, because daylight also always makes you feel, well, more relaxed, but also because it actually is bigger than you'd expect. Nice practical details, small clip, so you use it like this, and you could leave it like this. There's a small toilet here. We have the electric version, but not only that, there's also a small sink. Let me put that back before I forget. Don't want it rattling around while driving. And this I just think is a great gimmick / feature. Very practical. And of course there's water here, but very simple. And if you were to sleep here, of course you'd close this. But not only that, you can actually lower this piece here. Let me get my feet out of the way. Sorry. Here you have the bed fully, well, closed, I would say. There's the filler piece of the bow area. Let me just move it to the side. I'm 1.92 m. I just want to show you how big it is. It actually is, I think, 1.91 m. I'm just squeezed in with my feet against the wall at the end. So I think it's actually quite big because you usually don't sleep fully straight. And it actually, as you can see, is not only long, but also quite beamy. So there's plenty of place. There's lighting. This one has the, I forgot the name of the package, but luxury package or something of the multi-cabin. So you have the indirect light and all these cushions, etc. I think everyone would be choosing this because it's just very practical, and you don't need the aft cabin anymore if you would want to sleep 2 people. If you'd want to sleep 4, this is very useful still, and you add the aft cabin, which we'll come to later. Let me put it back quickly and get out. Of course, there's fuses here and there's some small details I'm forgetting. This is something I really like and says something also about the approach and the attitude of the people at Axopar. If you were to sleep here, you probably would put your bag underneath here. And if you, for example, forgot your toothbrush, you don't need to open this up fully, you just grab underneath and take it out. A really small but practical detail. Again, we fold this up. Let me go there. Like this. There we go. And what I was forgetting is that there's also double USB socket on this place, and there's a 230 volt connection right here if you use the shore power or if you install an inverter, which some dealers like us do, especially if people want coffee. So that is something that we can arrange also. I know that Axopar is working on that for the 37 for 2025. I haven't heard about that for the 29. But again, it is something that we as Campers Watersport can do. When you walk here, if you have experience with the 28, you may remember that this was a bit narrower than it is on the new 29, and that is because of the volume, and that the beam has been carried through further to the bow. So this just feels more airy, and it's easier to walk in this area specifically. It is a 29 footer, so it's always a compromise. Some people think it's not easy to walk like this, and I must agree, I'm not the tallest, heaviest guy. I am used to more or less naturally when going from the aft. If you go like this, some people try to walk like this, but if you just walk like this, slightly sideways, it works out perfectly. And again, it's always a compromise, because if you add more space here, you lose it in the cabin, which is an area that is also very appreciated. A nice step here, which was used, I think, first on the 37, very practical. Non-skid here, non-skid there, mid-cleat, always good. This is for ventilation of the multi-cabin. Also a practical detail. Water doesn't get in, but still you have air enough. There's nothing really I need to say about the roof. I still feel that it is one of the nicest things that the cabin versions of Axopar have. That is this roof that you can simply open or close and convert it into an open day boat with just a touch of a button. Very practical and easy. Coming into the cabin, we're actually quite fortunate that since a couple of days we finally have the carpet. It wasn't available at first. I think this makes the boat immediately much warmer, much cozy and nicer. So we're happy that it's there, and it is an improved cabin. It feels airy, roomy. I'm 1.92 m, you may see. Let me close this in the meantime so you can have an idea of the standing height also. I mean, for me it's enough. Sometimes here that people are afraid that when you drive that it isn't enough. Well, again, for me it is. Actually, I had a test drive, what is it, today, Tuesday, I had a test drive Sunday with somebody who was 1.96 m. If the boat is lying still, if you stand straight like this, I am more or less looking against the roof area here, which is of course not so nice. But if you drive, what happens is the boat starts leaning back a bit, so that you look underneath, which is great. And if you're driving, you usually don't stand like this, you start leaning like this. So you lean back, and then I think for people between 1.92 m and maybe even up to 1.98 m, I don't know, it is good enough. Perfect visibility all around, and they have removed a pillar in the aft, which means that now, let me also close this in the meantime so that you have a proper view, so that now looking back you have much more, much better visibility looking aft. Again, I removed the pillar which was here. You still have this pillar here, but I think it is done in a really good way. Grab rails here, and as we're used to, these nice seats which you can turn. We didn't get the opportunity to specify this boat because this was the first series. I would personally have added the table here because I like, and I know from experience how nice it is to turn these seats, have a table here and have a small dinner, especially in the winter time. Can be really cozy and nice, putting the heating on and enjoying, well, the company you brought along in this great cabin. It just feels very airy, roomy, better than the 28, I personally think. This is the new NSX display. I think this is the 12-inch version, the biggest one. There's different alternatives there, and of course on this one we have the bow thruster, the trim tabs, audio, different buttons. I won't go into detail. This I still like on the cabin, that they made this, that if you drive in the wintertime, I noticed a lot with my boat. I used to come here also when it's, well, even around freezing temperatures. When you come on board, especially with a lot of people, and you drive off, you start breathing, and moisture is coming against the front window, and you use these as demisters, which is really nice. You close off the other ones in the boat so that you get the full force of the heating unit for the window here. Works like a charm. Really good. This is nice to hang on to. This is the controls for the heating unit, cup holders on both sides. Tinted windows, of course, I am forgetting. I like these panels which are upholstered with lighting in. There's indirect lighting also. There's a map pocket here for seat charts. I like the remote controlled main switches. Very convenient. I think if you don't order them, but since the last 2 years or so, every one of our customers is ordering them. So I don't even know what they do when you don't order them, but I think then the main switches are in the aft cabin. But this is just much more practical. You come on board, you press them, and everything is on. Simple. This is very practical to put your phone and other stuff. You can still leave it here. There's a small pocket here. So again, a very practical boat. Am I forgetting anything here? I don't think so. The new Mercury controls, really nice. And of course, like with the 28, you have the refrigerator here, top loader. And you may see my head there. I think I stored it here. Nope. So the refrigerator, really deep. It's really, really deep, so there's plenty of space there. I think it's deeper than on the 28. And another sink right here, very practical. And again, you can turn the seats and add a table here to use it in different ways. Well insulated, as you see, so it stays cold for quite some time, even if you switch it off. Audio here, a nice aft bench. What I always like, being a tall guy, is that the seat bases are long enough, because if you sit here for a day or so, or even a couple of hours, you really want to feel comfortable. And the angle of the backrest has been done just in the right way. You feel comfortable. There's something to hang on to here and here. USB socket on this side. Cup holders. I like that they made this of wood, giving it a slightly warmer touch. This is a nice detail. Axopar, the adventure company. You may have noticed this small, I think they call it Easter egg, in the front window, heading for adventures. Right here, I like these small details, with Axopar being the adventure company. I also like what they did on the aft bench with the way to open it and gain access to the aft cabin by doing this. Sorry, this I'm pulling this up. You do this and you immediately notice that this is both simple, easy, quickly done, but you have huge access to the aft cabin. And not only that, they use the area here. You can also use this here. But there's plenty of space, and not only that, what they also did is, you may notice this is more or less on the same level now, making it also easier for especially really tall guys like myself. Let me also show you how tall you can be on the Axopar 29. Now I'm lying against this end here, and you see that there's place enough. So I think people would sleep the other way around, but anyway, that is personally. But if you're taller, you could even use some of the space in the cabin right there. So it's really roomy. This filler piece can be taken out. So if you want to get easier access in and out, this is actually quite practical. Putting your feet here. The heating unit has exhaust on these sides. There's ventilation here in the aft cabin, you may not be able to see. And of course, something that is really nice. Let me see if I can do it from here. This is a great new feature. I think there's something lying on the aft lid, but this is a great new feature, having the air come in and also using it from the outside to use this not as a sleeping area but as a storage area, and just entering the boat with bags and a wakeboard or whatever you bring along. You open this up, you put it in, and the boat still looks tidy, and you have plenty of space to store all the stuff you want to bring along. Let me close this for the moment. There we go. Okay, let me close this also. And let's go aft and show you the aft area of this Axopar 29 XE cross cabin. Some people ask me what this is for. This is for a lifeline. I think this is also a CE thing because of well, certain regulations, but it's a nice safety thing. It's good. Some people have been using it if you want to bring stuff here, and if you're driving the boat in heavy conditions, you could use a line or something to attach something on the aft cabin right here. 4 cup holders, as you notice, a nice backrest here. This still is a great area. I find, especially in the Netherlands, that this is the favorite of a lot of people. We have many customers ordering the aft cabin, but not using it to sleep, but ordering it because of the sun lounge. And now you will be having the multi-cabin, which also is a great solution for that specific purpose. But still, this is a great area, because if you tend to take the boat out and be at anchor and it's slightly chilly, this is the place to be, because you're protected from a chilly wind and you're still very comfortable enjoying the sunshine here in the aft. I also like the storage that they have on both sides now. A great area, but before I go into that, you have these optional fender box cushions, really nice. If you are with a lot of people, you use these. You can also use them if you are like 3 people here. You can use them to put your feet on. But they also have this small latch to open them up. Really nice, practical. Again, a solution to store your mooring lines. Stainless steel gas strut. A gasket right here so water doesn't drain in. And this is where they put the optional aft shower now. And this has become a lot more roomy than previously, because they added especially the piece from here to the aft. Also looking at the aesthetics, because looking at the boat from the side, it just looks nicer, because it has a slightly higher freeboard, more volume in the bow, etc. It looks a bit elongated with this piece added here. And also, again, it's practical because you just have more room. If I go to the other side, I will show you that there's plenty of space to store all your stuff. There's now, because we're out, we have cameras, we have shoes, etc. I think they are a bit too small, to be honest. These are supplied by Axopar. I would change them for slightly bigger versions, but even then, if you were to use the bigger ones, previously you could store, I don't know, maybe 2, 3. Now you can store 4 at least here in these storage areas. So great solution. This is for the heater, by the way. The filler cap for the fuel is close to the middle part where you get on and off the boat. Flag, stainless steel, of course, nice stainless steel cleat here on the aft. What I didn't mention being in the aft cabin is that there's lots of daylight also there. When you close it off with the cover, which I think you do when you sleep, you take away the daylight, of course, but using it during the daytime, it's really nice to have daylight, especially entering from the aft, and you also have a view being inside towards the aft over the water. Really nice. And again, let me also show you how you open this up from this side. It's huge and it's easy. And again, gaskets right here, not having water pour inside. And this is a good but simple solution for the ventilation, because you want to be able to breathe, of course, being inside and not get the mosquitoes in. A water ski tower in stainless steel. I hope that Axopar will be adding the Brabus line version later on. You may notice that it's higher. That is because on the 29 now there's a possibility to have the V10 engines from Mercury, which of course are taller, but they can be added. We have a V8 300 on this boat, which I think is plenty, a really nice combination, but of course there's people who want more power because they want to be able to bring more people, have higher speed, etc. But this is the V8 with room enough for the V10. There is a swimming ladder, I think on this side, yep, right here. This is the standard swimming ladder. Before I put it back in, let me show you that it's big with 4 steps also. So that is already very practical. I always recommend people, not even if they're not towing anything, to still order this one, because it's a nice grab-on, not only when you come out of the water. And of course there's this one, which you can grab onto, but it's also nice to grab onto the water ski tower. And also if you enter the boat from the side like we would do right now, it's just nice to have something to grab onto. So again, this is a recommendation always. Again, that is the standard swimming ladder, and this is the optional bathing ladder, which is added on this boat. Some people appreciate this, especially if there are elderly people coming along. It's just nice to be able to get in and out of the water in a more reliable way. Okay, I think we've covered most of the deck area. So there's one more thing to do, and that is taking it out of the water. Let's go. And here we are out on the Westeiner Plassen, driving 10.7 kilometers an hour, which is approximately whole speed, I would guess, and doing, and this is something I always look at, 1.35 kilometers to the liter. Some people are used to knots, sorry to those people, but this is something we use to compare with other boats. This is driving slowly really good, but it's always interesting, of course, to find what the fuel consumption is on plane, and we'll see that in a moment. It is difficult with a brand new boat, with the engine still not running fully, to judge the fuel consumption, but still it gives you some idea. Again, we have the V8, which I think is a perfect engine for this boat. It has the advanced midsection, so it feels very smooth. No rattling, you don't feel any vibration on the boat. It's a very smooth, reliable, powerful engine with a lot of torque, It's a naturally aspirated, so no turbo V8 with a big cubic capacity on the cylinders, so lots of torque. So it's easy to get it onto plane, which I will be doing right now. Let me look around me. So, taking her up to plane. I think I am also going to close the roof and the door to make the audio a bit better. Funny thing I always find is that when I take people out on an Axopar 29, that we have a lot of people coming for a T-top, previously on the 28 or a sun-top. We usually have a cabin or cross cabin in stock, and we take people out, and they just by themselves start closing doors and the roof, and we are out to plane, because it's such a nice atmosphere having this closed and not having the wind around you. You drive long distances, this is a lot less tiring. So I'm a fan of cabin boats, but still it is nice to be able to open up the roof and the doors, because then you feel outside. We're doing approximately 40 kilometers an hour, close to 0.9 kilometers to the liter, and it feels very smooth and very easy. I could carry on doing this for quite a long time. Let me see how many RPM we're doing. 4,300 approximately. And this feels like a nice cruising speed. But of course, you'd want to see what the best fuel efficiency is. I don't know that of this boat yet. I do know that with my previous 28s, I had one with a single 400 L6. I had one with twin V6 200s. I managed to get both on plane around 1:1. But you need to have some time, because there's a computer also in these engines. So it takes a couple of minutes before the computer finds out what the optimum fuel/oxygen combination is. You'll see that we're getting close to that 1:1. Even improving, which is interesting, because it's a heavy boat, heavier than the 28, and still the fuel consumption is slightly better than on the 28. Doing 55 kilometers an hour even, which is fast for a 29 foot boat as a cruising speed. I don't know exactly, I would need to take some more time to exactly determine what the optimum cruising speed is. But this already gives a good feeling of the fuel consumption. Again, really comfortable, relaxed, quiet relatively in this cabin. So doing well. Let me also try what the top speed is. I think it's slightly over 70 kilometers an hour. 62, 63. We have the active trim on, so I'm not touching the trim at all. Let me double check if the trim temps are up completely. 71. Close to 72 kilometers an hour. Taking speed down a notch, doing some turns. Again with one hand. Hydraulic steering, electrically assisted. So really easy to steer, and it again feels very comfortable. You don't hear the engine taking up air. That also is a result of the active trim that you may hear working every now and then. You get some waves also. It's very simple, completely dry ride. We have very little wind, to be honest, but still sometimes with boats, when you take these short turns and go through your own waves, you get water on the deck, and that is virtually impossible with this Axopar 29. So it just feels very sturdy, a bit heavier than the 28, but still agile and fun. And that's of course what it's all about. So I truly love the new 29, still like the 28. We have this boat in stock, and it's also available for the Axopar Agape Boat Club. So welcome any day. If there are some things that I did not show you, if you have questions, please leave your questions below in the comments section. Also, if you'd like me to do a live stream on certain things, please let me know. Please keep on following us. I hope to be doing a full walkthrough on the Suntop also sometime in the near future. But for now, thank you for watching and hope to see you in our next videos. Bye.